Hi, Dini here. Just like a break from the paper flower wall content, or like just an additional content, I guess, or I just want to talk about this because we are well underway this summer. So this is like officially the market season, and after this it's gonna be fall, and then after this it's gonna be Christmas. Christmas is a season, which is a good season for markets. So of course, right now summer is a season of outdoor markets, and then well, it depends on where you are, but where I am, it's very very cold during winter. So we have indoor markets, and I just want to talk about joining markets, most specifically, selling paper flowers in artisan markets, most especially. So I do want to talk about that because I've joined. I don't do it like regularly, like every week, but I think last year for the Christmas season, I have done about eight, or like I don't know, probably more than that, markets. And honestly, it's also a good avenue to gain revenue, I guess. I mean, to earn. If you're just doing this like part time, it's also a good way to earn. And I also want to discuss like the benefits. Well, I do want to discuss the pros and cons of joining markets. Most specifically, again, this is targeted at selling paper flower walls at markets because that's what I do. Yeah, so let's discuss about this. And I've recently received a message from Ryan. So she have bought a number of paper flower templates and have also been doing paper flowers, and she messaged me and asking for tips. And then you know what, I had this outline about discussing like the pros and cons of joining markets for like so long. I made like this draft in even last year actually, but I just take her message as a sign for me to discuss like the pros and cons of or like really push for this blog. So let's dive in. So the pros and cons of joining market. So let's discuss with the pros first. So first one, it's a very good way, not really a good way, but like an inexpensive way of marketing, or like marketing, especially locally. Because for example, when I moved here in Rochester, so of course that was a darker time just because it's a new place, and it's like one of my thrust or one of my goals that year, or that season, was to market network locally. And then the longer that we stayed here, like I realized Rochester, like the city where I am, really has a very good creative market, and the small businesses were really supportive of each other. And I can really say that up until now, because just like yesterday, I had a lead that came from she's a relatively competitor because she sells wooden flowers. And then I also sell, the small paper flowers. So in a way, she was a competitor. But the lead came from her just because, I mean, like she's not doing what I do. Like in a way, she's my competitor, but in a way, I also do something that she doesn't do. So, it's a good way, and also like a relatively inexpensive way, because the cost for joining markets, it really depends on the market. So the cheapest would be probably 30, and then the average right now, because every year it kind of increases. So in average, it's like 100 to 150. That's for the good markets. So I also worked as a trade show coordinator manager, and joining those like industry trade shows, 1,000 is cheap. Some even go for like 10,000 joining the big trade shows, okay? So, 150 is cheaper than the trade show. So again, it's a relatively inexpensive way of networking, and it's also a very good way of networking locally. Now, second, it's also a good way to gain affirmations. So most especially if you are just trying out, you will hear people, compliment you for your work. And when I was starting out and joining markets, so again, I think, so year 4 was when I really started joining markets. So back in North Carolina, I've tried like 2 shows. It was kind of bad. That's why and I will probably tell you like later why it was bad. And then like I stopped. I never joined markets. And when I went here, and then I found out that the local market is really good. The creative businesses, the businesses are really supportive of each other. So I kind of joined. And then and I've been doing like, you know, for 4 years I've been doing it like just by myself, just posting online. I never, almost never had like, you know, like a real person talk to me like, wow, your work is beautiful, or things like that. So I don't often get that. But when I joined the market, they were like, oh, it's really beautiful. It's like you will really have real connections with people. I mean, meaningful connections with people, just because you would hear their stories firsthand. Oh, and also, so I just want to talk about an example. So when you're online, or like, I mean, when you post like in social media, sometimes it's like, is this just one way? Like I'm not getting anything from the other side. But then, so I had a market like a couple of weeks ago, and then there was this very nice lady, and then she was telling her friend that she got like an ornament from me last Christmas. And then she was telling her friends all about like my like, you know, the stuff that I usually talk online. Like she knows like how I do business, because it's like she was telling her friend like, oh, you know, her like her Etsy shop is just for the digital templates, but she has her own workshop. It's like I am hearing like the things that I did from somebody else. So it's like it's just so nice. Yeah, so I gave her a gift just because I was so thankful. So, you know, things like that, it will lift your spirits up. It's like a dose of serotonin. Now, let us talk about the cons. So first is, it can get a bit expensive, most especially your investment for display. So the good thing is you can just buy things that you can use for a lot of other purposes, like the 6-foot table. Because, okay, so when you join a market, it's like your things will be yours. I mean, you will be required to, you know, set up your own space. So that's the thing. So if you are going to like join an outdoor market, then a tent is required. And then of course you need tables, you need your displays. And then, in my previous videos, I have mentioned that I work as a display exhibition designer. So I really can get obsessive with my display. It's like I can really get obsessed. Like that's the first thing that I think of. It's like, okay, so for this market, I have like a 7 by 8 feet. How will I display my products? What like fixtures do I need? So I can get a bit obsessive with those. But I am also I am very stingy. So okay, so for the display, one that is really they are very good. Their display is very good. Is vertical ledge. However, they're kind of expensive, and I'm not doing this regularly enough for me to you know, say yes and buy their display. Though again, you can check them out. Vertical ledge, their display is very good. So what I do is I'm looking at Amazon Marketplace, and then look for like a relatively cheap display there, and just use those. And I'm gonna link a blog of mine below of like my favorite finds from Amazon that I've used in my display. Yeah, but it's like you need to invest one way or another for your display. Or you can borrow. If you have friends, you can borrow. But you know, the cons is that if you're gonna do this, then you have to invest a bit in the display that you're gonna use. And number two, it can get really expensive. Because as I told you, like 150, that's the normal now, like 100 to 150. And like for example, yeah, that's just for one show. And then there are like two-day show that are like 250, almost 300. Yeah, so it can get a bit expensive, thinking that you'll just be there for like 4 to 5 to 6 hours, and then you're going to pay for 150. So yeah, it can get a bit expensive. And number three, it is very tiring, honestly. If you can ask for a help of a friend, then go ahead, because that would really be beneficial. or if you can figure out a way where it's like it's very easy to, fold your things. If in my mind or in my experience, the best in those, like, just folding everything and then just going away like after 5 minutes when the show closes, are prints, just because they're flat, and then they're the accessories like earrings, jewelry, because it's like, you can bring like a display that already has your things in there, and then just like bring it out the way you brought it in, so things like that. For my case, for the paper flowers, and then I also just do this mostly alone, so sometimes my husband does help, because most especially now that my daughter's a bit is kind of, well, older. She's still a toddler. She still needs a lot of supervision. But compared to before, she's more manageable now. So like my husband can bring her in markets, and he kind of helps me. But most of the time, I often do this myself, and it's like setting up takes me like 2 hours. Again. I can kind of be obsessive with my display, so it's not them, it's me. Yeah, but so it's kind of get tiring, just because for myself I do set it up like 2 hours, and then for the breakdown or the dismantling, it's usually like another hour for me. So it can get really tiring. But now, so those are the pros and the cons. And in the next video, I am going to discuss the tips or like the lessons that I have learned from joining markets for about like almost 2 years now. So yeah, do like this video and subscribe to our channel. I forgot to mention that, and see you in my next video.